My music teachers in West Africa would often say, music is colorblind. It doesn't know black or white. Anyone can play this music if their heart is good. In Africa, traditions are important. They have to be respected. My djembé teacher, Famadu Konaté, says that when he creates a new rhythm, he always starts by listening to the ancient ones. It's the traditions that guide him. I think the same could be said about life. In the West, we've become disconnected from ancient wisdom. We've stopped listening to the old cultures who are still here today. I think it's time we start listening again. I'm Dave Kobrenski. I'm an artist, musician, author, and flute maker. Art, music, and anthropology have been my lifelong passions. My goal has always been to combine them into a single discipline where each one has a part to play in telling a story. It was music that first brought me to West Africa. Not just any music, but the djembé music of the Mandinka people. My first music teacher in West Africa was a man named Famadu Konaté, and he's widely regarded as the grand master of the djembé. He's a living link between the present day and the old traditions of Africa. I realized pretty quickly that this was an amazing opportunity to study with a living master, and I dedicated myself to learning everything I could from him. I returned to Guinea almost every year for nearly a decade in order to do so. In hindsight, it's probably unsurprising that what I got out of this apprenticeship was a lot more than just music. What started happening was that over the course of time, my focus started to shift away from just the music and towards a search for a deeper understanding, not just of how Malinke culture worked, but how my own culture functions and why. I became aware that a different worldview is not only possible, but completely valid. I think there's a lot we can learn from the old cultures that will help us navigate the global challenges that we're faced with today. While I was in West Africa, music was the common language through which this greater dialogue took place. Along with the djembé, another instrument changed my life because it introduced me to one of the greatest mentors I've ever had. That instrument was a 3-holed wooden flute called tambi in the Malinke language, or Fula flute. The mentor was a village man named Lanciné Conde, who was nothing short of a musical prodigy and a master of the Fula flute. The first time I ever heard the sound of this flute coming across the Niger River, it was like hearing the voice of Africa itself taking flight on the wind. My musical apprenticeship with Lanciné lasted more than a decade. He knew that it was somewhat of a dying tradition in the village, and he passed along much of his repertoire to me. I also became his flute-making apprentice, and he taught me how to construct the flutes in the traditional way. He and I shared a lot of adventures together, traveling across the African countryside on numerous occasions. He saved my life more than once, and in more ways than one. One of the last things he ever said to me, and I'll never forget, is, "We are the same family now. We were like brothers." When he passed away suddenly at the age of 52, I knew that it would be part of my life's work from then on to honor the musical legacy and traditions he bestowed on me. My books are a way for me to pass along some of the richness of wisdom that I found while living in West Africa. When I wrote my first 2 books, Joliba Crossing and Drawing on Culture, I initially thought that they would be anthropology books, but the stories really wanted center stage, and I realized that these needed to be books not just for other anthropologists to read, but for everyone. Because what is the point of anthropology if not to share stories of the human experience for everyone to learn from? So while it's always been art, music, and culture, for me, it's stories that bring them all together. One story I never had the guts to tell before was my own story. of my 20-year battle with chronic pain, illness, and addiction that was ongoing during all of these years that I was traveling in West Africa and living between two worlds. In West Africa, I learned a lot of things. I learned that true healing is possible, but it takes a lot of courage to get there. Lanciné and his family taught me just what that kind of courage looks like. And I learned that when healing takes place on a deeper level that unites body, mind, and spirit, it can look a lot like magic. My new book is called Finding the Source. It's a healing adventure. The whole world is in need of healing today. It starts with each one of us.